Thank you for joining me here at the Real ResQ Podcast, powered by Vertical Helicast. You can go to verticalhelicast.com to check out all the Vertical Podcast Network, including Hangar Z, the Helicopter Podcast, and Vertical MRO Podcast. Each of these podcasts are crafted to cater to distinct segments within the rotorcraft industry. Check them all out. They're amazing. Now I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors for this episode, and that's Axness. Their mission, wireless intercom. Check them out at axness.com. Switlick Survival Products. Manufacturing the highest quality, safety, and survival products for aviation, marine, and military markets. Check them out at switlick.com. Ready Swimmer. Training the body, sharpening the mind, building leaders. Our mission to make you ready. Check them out at readyswimmer.com. And the Real ResQ Store. We're constantly adding new products to the store, so go check it out at therealresqstore.com. Now, coming up next in this episode, we've got a pilot who's currently serving with the Tennessee National Guard. He's got some stories from all around that area. So please welcome our next guest, Mr. Dan Backus. My name is Jason Quinn. I am United States Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer number 500. These are my rescues and rescues from those of us that put our lives on the line every day so others may live. This is the Real ResQ Podcast. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Real ResQ Podcast. Today I've got a guest from the United States Army National Guard. He's a pilot with the Tennessee National Guard, and this is Dan Backus. What's up, sir?
Hey, man. Hey, it's good to be here. Super humbled to be here. Really appreciate what you do, and I don't feel like I deserve to be in the seat, but I'm happy to be here.
No way. All right, so facts and matters, you guys just went over a couple of your rescues and stuff that you were about to talk about, and I'm like, yeah, you absolutely deserve to be here. Are you kidding?
Nah, I mean, I had some cool ones, but yeah, I had some cool ones, but I don't think I'll ever top, Leonard Skinner's plane and all that. But that was really cool.
You know what, John Whitten? I know exactly the one you're talking about too.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible to hear and listen to. But yeah, I really do appreciate your podcast. I was listening to it on the way back home from the beach a few weeks ago, and it's just like getting those stories out there and having people feel the same emotions as you do. It's kind of it feels really good to have that same feeling, and you're not alone in some of those feelings as well. So,
can I get an amen on that one? I'll tell you what, man, I live vicariously through every story that comes on this podcast. I love it, and I feel every emotion that everyone comes on here and talks about, because it's like, oh, I've been there. Now, I can't really speak for pilot side so much, because no, I'm not a pilot. But for the most part, I understand the back of the aircraft pretty well. So, oh, it's good. Well, I'll tell you what, Dan, before we get into a whole bunch of your rescues and your stories, let's get a little background about you. Like, what brought you into the United States Army? And actually, let's even back up before that. Like, where are you from, and how did all this get started?
So I'm from a little town outside of Knoxville, called Alcoa, Tennessee. Um, I was actually born in Ohio, but moved down here before I could talk and walk and do all that. I went to school here, uh, all the way through high school. Played football, won a few state championships.
Nice.
Actually played football with Randall Cobb. He went on to play for the Packers. I believe he's at the Jets now. Yeah, so we had a 35-acre horse farm that we raised horses and cows and goats and all sorts of animals. My mom's a vet, so anytime she could get a sick animal, she'd bring it out and we'd take care of it, But to get to our farm, we had to drive right past the airport, and just imagine a little kid sitting in the back seat with his head on the window, looking out at the airplanes. It's like, that is so cool. I want to do that kind of stuff. The airplanes, helicopters, all that. So it's like mesmerizing to me. So growing up, that's all I did. Drive out to the farm, look at the airplanes, drive back, look at the airplanes. I'd actually position myself in the seat to, get a good look at the runway. But anyways, I graduated.
Did you play college football for a little while?
I did not. My older brother did. He played for the University of Tennessee, but I was not as good as he was
Gotcha.
to go play.
My next question would be like, is corn fed? Is that like a real thing?
It is. It is. Yeah. It 1,000% is. Yeah. When my mom would go to the grocery store, when we were all living at the house, she would buy 8 gallons of milk per week for us to, yeah, 8 gallons of milk. So yeah.
How many siblings do you have? It's you, your brother?
I have 2 older brothers, and then my dad, my mom. So, and I'm the smallest one of all of them. I'm 6'4", so.
And you're the smallest.
Good. And I'm the smallest. Yeah. So.
Including your mom, you got like the first line right there.
Yeah.
Defensive
line. We're good.
Let's go.
We're good. Yeah. We will definitely set the pocket. So yeah, I graduated high school in 2009. I did a year of college. And it was just like, there's something missing. I missed like the routine of football. Like football was very structured. College was not that. So like, you'd set your classes or whatever at 8. You never show up to your 8 o'clock class. And it's like, I really need to make some changes. So I went and talked to an Army recruiter, and he's like, hey, we've got this really cool aircraft mechanic job. And it's right over here next to the airport where you grew up. I was like, oh, hey, that sounds super cool. So I joined up 10 days before my 19th birthday. And that September, I went to basic at Fort Benning, and then graduated that and got shipped off to Fort Eustis, Virginia, December 2010. I think it was like 30 weeks of AIT, just my tech school, and then graduated that July.
Weeks?
Yeah, I was there for 30 weeks.
Yeah, that's a long time. Holy cow!
It was a long school. It was enlightening. I learned a lot. Well, I learned a lot. I got to the unit, learned so much more. They say when you go to AIT, they teach you how to be dangerous, kind of thing. They teach you just enough to be dangerous. You do your real learning out on the flight line.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that. And then I got back to the unit and just put in a lot of work. And I think it's 2011. So from 2011 to 2014, February of 14, I was like trying to get in on any and everything I could, as far as being a mechanic, like special orders, special trips, like, hey, let's go down here, let's go there. We actually did a lot of really cool stuff with the Kiowa before the Army, in their infinite wisdom, decided to get rid of the Kiowa Warrior through ARI. I actually did the last deployment with OH-58s, Kandahar, in 2014. I learned a ton over there as far as being a mechanic and how things work, and just working with different pilots. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's in a combat zone too, right? Like, or well, I want to say a combat zone, but like, were you like outside the combat zone or in the combat zone? Or both?
So yeah, we were in RC South, which Kandahar. We were at the Kandahar Air Base, so our crews would go out and do missions all the time, Kandahar City and everywhere like that. Actually, a few test flights out there, and got. I'm pretty sure I got pranked a few times by a few of the pilots. Just fresh meat in the left seat, or right seat rather. and we'd go out and they'd fire off some flares because there's a flare button in there. He's like, "Oh my gosh, we're getting shot at!" And then here you are, a young 20-something-year-old kid having a great time flying finally overseas, and then he's like, the one pilot just looks at me and he's got this really shocked and surprised face, and he knows what he did, and then he just him seeing my face was pretty funny. But I got back from there, and I started working flight operations, and I went and asked my boss one day, like, if there was any opportunities for flight school, and he said, "Hey, just start working on your paperwork. I'll make some phone calls." So that was in 2015, and I think by January that next year, I was in and on my way to going down to Fort Rucker, Fort Novacell now, to start flight school. So um, we did all the board processing, we did all the flight physical paperwork. Everything got approved pretty good and quick. And then June 6th, D-Day, was my actual first day of warrant officer candidate school, and it was a doozy. Excuse
Oh,
me.
I'm sure it was a doozy. Like a
Um,
Remembrance Day, putting you guys through
oh,
the ringer.
it was so. I know all old guys say this, like they don't do it like they used to anymore, you know. And I'm sure of it because I think we ran like 6 miles that day. We did probably 1,000. We had the rubber duck guns, like up downs with the rubber ducks, push ups. So I mean, we were out there for like 2 hours, and I think it was just kind of like a vetting thing, like who really wanted to be there. And yeah, they smoked us pretty good that first day. I'll never forget this. Our first day of class was the same day we got smoked. We went in, and our first teacher, his name was Alex Druin, and he is like the warrant officer that takes care of his dudes, and like just who I aspired to be as a warrant officer, like to take care of my dudes. He said, "I know this morning sucked really bad. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk out of this classroom for the next 20 minutes. I'm going to turn the lights off, and you guys do what you just need to do. Just take a breather." And he turned the lights off, and there was like 50 people in my class. Every single one of us fell asleep on the floor, just like passed out. And it was the greatest nap. I'm not much of a napper, but it was probably the best nap I've had in my life. I kid you not.
That's pretty
then
hilarious.
we did our lesson, and like mum was the word. Like our tax didn't know any different. Whether we had like taken a nap or not. So it was kind of like our little secret in the schoolhouse versus like where the tax could attack us, you know. So that was great. I finished warrant officer school that July, and then started flight school 2 weeks later. Got my family moved down there, and in process, and I started my warrant officer basic course. It was 2 weeks on the front end and 2 weeks at the back end after I finished all my flight stuff. Did that, then went to Dunker School. I'm sure you're familiar with Dunker.
Oh God, I love the Dunker so much. There's so many people that hate it. I have such a good time. It's ridiculous, like how much fun I have. I want to keep going.
I enjoyed it for the most part. So I have a hole in my right eardrum,
Oh,
and I
that
had to
doesn't
wear
help you.
That doesn't help. Not underwater, but when you go to altitude, it's pretty cool because I don't have to clear this year, but this year I do have to clear. I'm a weirdo. It's great, but I have to wear earplug when I go swim. Um, so I mean, they were looking at me like, "What's this weirdo doing with the earplug? He's not gonna like. This doesn't make any sense." But it worked out for me. I finished Dunker in one day, and then I was on like a week hold. Then I started SEER school, which was the best course that I never ever want to do again. Just I don't like it in the face a lot. um, but the survival portion was phenomenal. The evasion portion was phenomenal, and all the other stuff in between it was good, but it wasn't great. But definitely the best school I never want to do again. And then I classed up and started. I did my nickel ride that September or October. It might have been October. I did my first flight in a Lakota, and here I am now. So I finished primary and then started Blackhawks, graduated Blackhawks, and finished out flight school in 2017, that September. Came home and just honed my craft a little bit and got signed off as a pilot March of 2018.
Nice, man.
So,
all right, so I've had a couple guys on here from the Army, like the Battalion boys came on and they told a couple stories and stuff. But
love those guys.
my own, yeah, right. Those guys are great. But my own knowledge, I'm unaware, but I've always heard that going through Army flight school, they don't just teach you how to fly the 60, they teach you how to fly the 60. You're almost inverted coming back, that return to target stuff. I mean, can we give away any of that? Probably not. So maybe I should ask that.
This is what I would equate it to. So at flight school, it's just like AIT. They teach you enough to be dangerous.
Okay.
I really, really learned how to fly the Blackhawk back at the unit. I had all these old Kiowa guys that did the return to targets and did that was their bread and butter, return to target, scout stuff. And I think I really honed my craft at flying with those guys. And some of them, still to this day, the way that they fly, it's really impressive. And I'm always learning new tips and tricks from those guys.
I love it, man. I love it.
It's great. I'm very fortunate to have had the group that I had to come back to actually learn how to fly, and I'm teaching those same techniques and tips that they taught me to the new guys that we get. So it's come full circle for sure.
That's so cool. And for those that don't understand or know exactly what we're talking about, the return to target is you come up and you got to correct me, God, if I'm wrong, because I'm not a pilot, but you end up climbing out, you kick the tail back, and then you come straight down back to target, aimed into whatever you're at, and let shit fly.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you nailed it there. Definitely do a little cyclic climb.
We won't go into major details, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cyclic climb to a left or right pedal pushover, and then you just dive in to shoot the target, if you will, and then you pull out at the bottom. It's definitely a high G maneuver, but it's a lot of fun. A whole lot of fun.
Oh, it's awesome. I love doing it. Love it.
I love it.
Yeah. All right, so
not much use for that in the medevac world.
No, definitely. People get kind of weirded out all of a sudden, what
what's that Red Cross aircraft doing? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what brought you from the search and destroy then to the search and rescue side of things? Or was that always part of your world in there with the National Guard side?
Yeah. So when the Army decided to get rid of the Kiowas, this is 2015. We wouldn't have had another aircraft. We had a Blackhawk unit in our sister unit in Nashville. So they decided, hey, let's move this medevac unit to Knoxville, which is where the Great Smoky Mountains are. They're right at our back door here. And we'll utilize them there. So we got all our Kiowa pilots retrained in the Blackhawk. And then I think we had 10, we had 5 regular UH Blackhawks and then 5 HH Blackhawks with the medevac.
And HH so would be the medevac search and rescue. Yeah. So
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Hold
FLIR,
on. You know
hoist,
what?
all that good
We're,
stuff.
we're going to look that up. So, off the top of my head, the UH is utility helicopter. And then the HH is search and rescue helicopter. That's what the first H stands for. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, the acronyms, but I remember the UH and the HH. So,
So yeah, the Navy's got a variant. The Air Force has a variant. I can't remember off the top of my head what those are. But essentially they're all the same airframe. Like the Coast Guard, you guys have a shorter tail wheelbase than we do because of
yeah,
landing on
it's for the
ships and
ship.
stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
Look at you
Navy's the
knowing
same
about the
way.
Coast Guard. Oh,
Uh,
man.
I've done my
Ah.
research too, Jason.
Let's go, Dan.
Oh man.
Oh, that's pretty good. All
So
right.
yeah, after I graduated, so so in flight school, once you graduate your primary aircraft, once you graduate the Lakotas, you're put on an order merit list to actually select your next airframe. Since I'm a guardsman, I already had mine selected for me because the state's not gonna send me to Apache school to come back to fly Blackhawks. So
Right.
it's like, hey, you're you're in a Black Hawk unit, you're going to Black Hawk school. So it's like, all right, I'm good with that.
Love it.
But the active duty guys, they don't really know what they're getting until they choose it. So it's a blessing and a curse, I guess. But you got to do the better you do in class and like on your PT tests is it bases your order merit for selection. So it was very, very competitive in flight school. Like people were getting like we do a written test and people were getting like up in arms over scoring a 96 or a 98. It's like, oh my gosh, this is gonna kill me, you know. So stuff you wouldn't see like in the regular world, like if you're
Yeah.
at college, like, oh, I got a 98 on that paper. Heck yeah, you know, it's like, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a 98. So
It's
it's
ridiculous.
kind of
Now I have to
comical.
go
Yeah.
fly that piece of crap aircraft.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of comical. But
Oh, that's funny. We're going to divert real quick to thank our sponsors.
Switlick. No mission is the same. Why should your suit be? Introducing a new custom dry suit experience. Choose your fabric, colors, neck and wrist seals, zippers, pockets, collars, and so much more. Intelligent measuring prompts ensure the most tailored fit. Brought to you by Switlick Survival Products. For more information, visit us at www.switlick.com.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, man. After all of that, thanks for that. All, by the way, I mean, I love getting the kind of the like right up to where we're at now, and you get into your HH 60, and you get qualified. You have your very first rescue, and you remember it pretty well too.
I do. They say you never forget your first, and
Can I
this
get an
is
amen?
this is
First
this
rescue,
is no
first
different.
rescue,
First
everybody.
rescue. Yeah,
What do
that's what I'm
you?
talking about.
Jeez, oh man, gosh, mine's
Um,
in the gutter
but
over there.
I know it. I know it.
Sorry, I digress.
Nah, you're good, man. So in the Army, we have RL levels. Like, so when you're a baby pilot and you're first starting out, you're RL3, and then it goes all the way up to 1. So RL3, you're just focused on like your base task, like, hey, can you show the instructor, that you can do all the emergency procedures that are required of you? Can you fly instruments? Can you do this and that? And then once you show proficiency in that, they move you up to RL2, which is like your mission task. So for medevac, it's hoist, sling loads, bandy buckets, fly multi-ship. And then there's some intricacies in there that are required as well. So I started in November of 2017 through my RL progression, and then I moved up. And in March of 2018, I got signed off as RL1, which is, hey, I'm a pilot now. I've been signed off by the instructor pilots that I can do all these tasks, and I can fly with any pilot command now. So it's like March 7th or something like that. I'd been signed off, and it was a Friday. And we were going into the weekend, and I get a text saying, "Hey, we have a potential rescue mission in the mountains." It's like, all right, cool. I'm signed off. I can do this now. So I said, "Hey, I'm available to do this." And this is like late afternoon, and I thought it was going to be one of those like quick ones. Like, hey, we get the request, the approval is good. We're good to go. We can launch. And it wasn't that way. So we get a whole crew assembled. We all get there. We get the flight plan done. We get the aircraft ready for mission, and we get cranked up. And it's starting to turn into dark now. And we get going, and I'm flying around. And naturally, like the more junior pilots, when it gets dark, they tend to climb more to get away from the ground, and that's exactly what I did. So um,
I love
it was like a zero. Yeah, it was like a zero loom night. We're flying, like all I could see was a green sea of just trees, and here I am thinking I'm a couple hundred feet above the trees, and I think the rescue spot was like 3,200, 3,300 feet, and I'm at 4,800 feet, just continuing to climb. And my pilot in command, out here we call him like the godfather, of search and rescue in the Smokies. Brad Hutzel, amazing guy, super great pilot, super sharp, fantastic instructor. I cannot talk about him enough. He's definitely my hero, and someone I aspire to be as a pilot. But he was my other pilot for the night. He's like, "Hey, buddy, you got to stop climbing. Like, we're never going to see these people way up here. Like, we're a mile up in the sky." It's like, you know what? You're right. I should probably come down.
That's
so we're getting close to the point, and I've come down now, and we're looking in the dark for a flashlight or just anything. Our medic finally spots it, and it's in between two mountains. So it's at the bottom of a saddle, and then the way the mountain's shaped, it's like in a bowl. So I have a mountain on this side, and a mountain on this side, and a mountain in front of me, and I'm just like, oh, this is getting real now. Like, it's kind of scary. So we had talked through all our briefs, like our hoist briefing and stuff. It's like, hey, before we go in here, we need to identify a way out in case of an engine failure. And it's like, okay, well, it's not in front of us. It's not to the left or right of us. It's going to be behind us. It's like, oh my gosh, that's kind of tricky for a guy that just got signed off. So we get down in there, and I'm looking for like a reference point. And I'm like so shook up, and for lack of better words, I'm like shitting my pants. Like, I'm terrified, and I'm trying to hold a hover.
I love it, dude.
Brad's just like, hey, you're gonna have to do better than that. It's like, I really don't have like great references over here. Like, I was like, do you have anything? He's like, oh yeah, I've got this, leaf on this tree branch, that I've been looking at for the past 30 minutes. Like, you have the flight controls. I'm taking over the radio, and the hoist stops. He's like, okay. And that's what he did. And he's like, yeah, you just find you a little leaf on a tree, 50 feet out, and you just concentrate on that. It's like, okay, well, I'll keep that in mind for the next time I do this. And anyway, so we send the guy down. We send our medic down. He gets him packaged up, and we bring him up. And he let me fly back to the hospital and land and everything. And we get done. The mission's complete. Everything went really well for the most part. But definitely a lot of lessons learned. Don't outpunt your coverage there. Let's try a day mission before we jump into a night mission kind of thing. So that was my first rescue. Porter's Creek, and I think it was in April 14th, 2018 was Porter's Creek, and that was my first one, probably my scariest one thus far. So
that is awesome. That is hilarious, actually. Thank you for sharing that one. I a couple questions out of that. when you guys go through your qualification process, do you fly like a mission scenario towards the end of it, like one during the day and one at night?
So yeah, the hoist training, it's got its own like support package. Like you have to do a hoist from here, here, here. You have to qualify on all the extraction equipment. You have to do dummy loads before you can do live loads at certain altitudes. You have to do a day iteration and a goggle iteration.
Okay.
When I went through, it was the same kind of qualifications. We didn't have all the extraction equipment requirement, although we did it anyways. And Brad, who I was flying with on that mission, actually did my hoist qualification day and night, and he did set it up like a mission scenario,
Nice.
making me so. So not only was I focused on the hoist, I was also focused on like putting the grid in correctly and making sure we had enough gas to get where we're going to back to the hospital and be within the reserve time for AR 95-1. So he was definitely filling up my iceberg, if you will.
Yeah.
And he definitely took me for a ride a few nights and days. But I like I said, I learned so much from that man. I think we can all say that from the unit. Brad.
That's awesome. Well, and I only asked that question because, like, I remember going through my stuff, and when I was qualified, once it was like checking the box, like, and I don't want to downplay it because checking the box was like grueling, but at the same time, it was like I don't remember being given a scenario of like, here, you're gonna go perform this whole thing, and then somebody setting up out there and whatnot. I remember going through and it's like, okay, next part of the syllabus, you have to perform this, this, and this, and as you go through. But like, I do like I do it now when I'm doing my training, and one of the last things we do at the end of the training is we do a scenario. Like, here's your rescue, and then we throw people in place and things in place to actually accomplish the next thing. So it's kind of, and again, I don't know the Army way, so that's why I got asked.
Yeah. We had drill last week, and we ran our standardization guys made up a scenario similar to that. He got a lot of people, like our battalion mission survivability officer. He got him involved. He got our standardization instructors for the backseat guys involved. So not only were we doing like we're flying like nap of the earth to stay out of a weapon engagement zone of some weapon in the mountains, and then we had to pop out and do this, and then call a hospital, and then go conduct a live hoist. The medic had to put Rescue Randy in a Skedco, tie him up, and then do a horizontal tagline or do a vertical sked into the aircraft, So we got like the whole entire crew involved doing each individual task. It was actually a really good scenario just for everyone involved.
Gosh, that is so cool. That's very cool.
To kind of run through, yeah. It was great.
Nice, man. Well, nice job on your first rescue, man. Well done.
I appreciate it. Yeah, the adrenaline definitely was flowing. And I think after we landed, like I couldn't go to sleep that night. I just laid there like, just after that I was hooked, it's definitely one of those like big, once you get a flow of adrenaline like that, I can definitely see why like extreme sports guys do what they do.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's and there's not anything quite. I've never done anything quite like it. Like, I love adrenaline rides and big roller coasters, and like I like all that fun stuff. But I've never had an adrenaline rush like I've had coming out of like a rescue, especially one that was something like that where you're working for X amount of hours, like on that max peak adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
And then to come off it,
heart's just pumping.
Yeah, totally. I love it.
Oh yeah, it's great.
So we don't just do it to save lives; we do it because we like it.
Yeah, I mean, they, what's
I'll
the
just
what's
speak
the
for me.
saying?
I just do
Yeah,
it because I like it.
they say if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I think it's the
Exactly.
saying. So that's what it is. It's got to be what it is.
Totally is. Absolutely. I love it. Oh, it's funny. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We're gonna go. Thank you again for that. That's awesome. Great first rescue. That's so fun. I'm literally gonna kind of go bullet point across some of your favorite rescues and some of the ones that stand out to you. So the first one, let's go with one of your favorite Kentucky floods, 2022. This earned you a couple things. Or let's see. So this in particular mission between the two of them, right? So you earned yourself a Colonel Award from Kentucky, which I'm going to read here in a second, and then in the same event, the Kentucky Army National Guard Award, like a plaque. It's awesome, man. Let me read these because it's a great write up, and then I'll read both of them, and then you can get into both of them after that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Commonwealth of Kentucky, Andy Beshear, Governor. To all to whom these presents shall come, greetings. Know ye that Honorable Daniel Backus is commissioned a Kentucky Colonel. I hereby confer this honor with the rights, privileges, and responsibility thereunto appertaining. In testimony whereof I have caused these letters to be made patent, and the seal of the Commonwealth to be hereunto affixed. Done at Frankfurt, the 13th day of September, in the year of our Lord 2022, in the 231st year of the Commonwealth. Signed by the Governor, Mr. Andy Beshear. Dude, that is awesome. So that's the first letter, and now you're a colonel. You're a Kentucky colonel. That's exciting.
I'm a Kentucky Colonel. Yeah,
You're a Kentucky Colonel.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of
dope.
jokes that can come with that, right?
I do.
But it's like legit too. As a matter of fact, wait a minute, let me bring this up too, because if you search this award, it literally says the highest honor awarded by the Commonwealth of Kentucky is that of a Kentucky colonel. Our colonels are Kentucky's ambassadors of goodwill and fellowship around the world. That is freaking awesome. That's super cool.
It's definitely probably the most unique award I've gotten. I don't think anybody knew what it was until we got them. So they were presented to us or whatever, and it's like, so what is this all about? And everybody dug into it, and it was like, this is actually like really, really cool. But yeah, the unique factor of that was really cool.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, congratulations. And you're not the only guy that got it. Did your whole crew?
No. Yeah, my whole crew, and I think 3 more air crews that went up there with us got it out of our facility in Knoxville. So it was super cool to get, and definitely, like I said, one of the most unique awards I've ever seen. I mean, there's not any like flair or bling that comes with it, but like it's one of those fun facts, like for if you're ever meeting somebody, it's like, tell me something no one really knows about you. It's like, I'm actually a colonel in Kentucky,
I'm a Kentucky colonel.
Yeah, man. It's super
I love
cool.
it. I love it. Now, on the same mission while you were up there, the Kentucky National Guard gave you an award as well. It says, for answering the call, the Kentucky Army National Guard wishes to thank CW2 Daniel Backus. We are grateful for your support and efforts during the Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Mission. Damn, that is amazing. I've never even like seen or heard any of that. That's awesome. Like you're a colonel. You're a colonel in Kentucky for going to help those in need. And the Kentucky National Guard. Hey, thanks, Tennessee. Thanks for coming to help us. That's so nice of you. And actually, I'll throw this in there. No, we're gonna touch it. You got a special landing zone. But we'll get into that in a minute. So what was the first one? First part of that?
So yeah, Kentucky in 2022, we So I'm a test pilot as well, and there's a phase facility for our Blackhawks in Frankfurt, and so that morning we had to deliver one of our aircraft up there for to get a phase performed, and we had it was a 2-ship kind of little exercise there. So me and one of the other test pilots flew to the facility, and we are getting picked up by the second ship, and the weather was pretty crappy. It wasn't the best. It had been raining up there quite a bit. And anyways, we get up there and we see one of their medevac birds sitting on the ramp about to launch. And we can hear them on the radios talking about, like, they found this guy in a tree, this and that. Like, what are they talking about? So we do our drop off, we get all the paperwork done, and we jump into our sister ship and start heading back. And we land, shut down, tie everything up, do all our paperwork, and then we're all sitting in ops. And not 2 hours after we landed, it's like, hey, Kentucky called, they need our help. It's like, what can we do? And there's thunderstorms in the area. They're definitely isolated to get where we needed to go. They said that the phrase was, hey, Kentucky needs our help. Don't know how long you're going to be up there, but if you can go, please help out. It's like, yeah, sure. I was just up there. Like, I don't mind at all. I didn't have like any extra clothes on me. So I texted my wife. I said, hey, Kentucky needs us. I don't know if I'll be home tonight or whatever, but I've got the clothes on my back, and I went and bought a razor from the PX and some shaving cream and a toothbrush. And she's like, no, absolutely not. I'm bringing you some clothes at least. Well, thankfully she did, because I was up there for 3 or 4 days.
That's a good girl right there. I'm going to throw that out there. Shout out to your wife.
Hey, she definitely keeps me on my 2 feet. I don't know what I'd do without her. But anywho, so we set the cruise and everything, and my aircraft gets off first, and we're kind of just plucking through the mountains, dodging thunderstorms and stuff, and rain clouds. And we get to the Hazard County Airport, and there's not really like a base of operations established just yet. It's just kind of like, hey, we got a report that there's something going on here. So our guidance was go out and look for people. It's like, okay, that's our bread and butter. So that's what we did. And we're flying through this hauler, dodging power lines and ridge lines and stuff like that. And we see this house like right next to the river that's flowing pretty good, and had somebody like waving at us. We didn't know if it was like, hey, good to see you guys, or like, hey, we need help kind of wave. So we dropped our medic down, and we just kind of loitered. And he walks into this house just willy-nilly, like we didn't know whether he was going to come out or not. But he comes back on the intercom, and he's like, hey, I got one. They pulled him out of the water. He can't walk, and I don't want to hoist him. It's like, okay. We didn't want to hoist him either, because where the house was, there's like a tremendous amount of power lines, and it wouldn't have worked out really well. So about a football field away, there was a cow pasture, and like, hey, we'll just land here. So that's what we did. And we told him, we said, hey, we're on this cow pasture on the backside. You can hear us when you walk out of the house. He's like, all right. So he's like, I'm packaging a patient up. I'll get a car over there as soon as I can. I'm like, okay. So we're sitting there for 10 minutes, and then we just see like this armada of Ford Rangers, Ford F-150s just pulling up, and here's our medic. He's like 6'6", just this big man in the back of this Ford Ranger, just weighing it down. And there's a guy in the back in a sked, just like his clothes had like been ripped and torn off of him for the most part, and he's just, you can tell he's in a lot of pain. Yeah. So we get him loaded up, and they start patient care on him, and we didn't really have any guidances like, hey, we don't know where the hospitals are up here. So a quick Google search led us to like the closest hospital. There was no like hey, this is where we land to drop off patients to the hospital, anything like this. So we fly around this hospital looking for a landing pad, just could not find one. So like a half mile down the road, there's this huge empty parking lot. I guess it was a commuter lot for the hospital. People would park there, a bus would come pick them up and take them to work. And it was wide open. It was right next to a fire hall. I was like, this is great. We'll talk to the fire guys. They'll get an ambulance over here, and this will work out really well. So that's what we did. We landed. I sent my medic out to the fire hall, and he came back with like a fire truck and an ambulance. And we were pretty fuel critical at that point, so we made the choice to shut down. And our medic jumped on the ambulance with the patient so he could do the patient report and everything. And we just sat there with a helicopter in a parking lot. Couldn't really go anywhere because we didn't have enough gas to, do much, and we were waiting on our last crew member.
Yeah.
So then this is what I love about the South. Like, it's all about community and like helping out your neighbor, helping out your brother. We were there for 10 minutes, and within those 10 minutes, we had at least 10 cars pull up we had one guy bring us like 6 pizzas. We had another say, hey, you guys hungry? And we're like, hey, we're fine. He's like, I'll be right back. And he went to Wendy's and got us like a sack full of hamburgers. And then another group had just left us stories like, I got all these Powerades here, 10 minutes. And we were there for the total time. We were there for like 35 minutes. And I think we had enough food and drinks to like feed my house for a week, So it was nuts. It was crazy.
That is
but,
awesome.
It was really cool, just to see the community come out like that. Like that's one of the reasons I love being in the South. It's the same for Hurricane Helene. Just all the volunteers. It's like someone needs help. We're here. We're ready to go. But yeah, that was the first rescue for Kentucky. And then we got back to the airport, got gas, we did a little bit more searching just for some of like the initial grids that were coming in. Didn't really get much the rest of that night. And our ground team commander there was Lieutenant Colonel Rigdon. And that guy actually helped push me into the pilot path. I can't thank him enough. He's great. He basically took over the airport CTAF and just became like the voice in the sky and started coordinating. I think at one point we had 12 aircraft up there for that weekend, and it was incredible to see him work. Just like, hey, I've got this point, you're on this, you go there. Aircraft 2, here's your point, you go there. Aircraft 3, here. 4, 5, and 6, you're sitting out for the next hour. Aircraft 7, 8, 9, you provide an overwatch and radio relay. Like it was like watching Rain Man work in the casino. Wow. It was incredible. But he really, really did a great job up there, and made the flow of information timely. And nobody was really guessing like what we were going to do next. So that worked out really well. But that next day, we were the first out there on scene, and we got a grid from some Air Force pararescue guys, and we're like, okay, let's go check it out. And the way Hazard's kind of built is in between these mountains, you'll have hollers, and in the holler, there's one road in and one road out, and people will build their houses. There's probably 40 houses in this one holler. So we get a grid. I think it was a family. We were checking on somebody. This place was pretty washed out. We found a great place to land, but the problem was there was a cable line strung across the yard, and we couldn't land if that cable line was up. So we dropped our medic. Our medics worked their butts off on that trip, but we dropped our medic down and said, hey, if these guys need help, like, let us know. And then we'll look for another landing area while you're down there. But if this is a good central point to pull people out from, that'd be great. So the way in and way out of this road was just gone. Like it didn't exist anymore. So he's like, all right. So he was down there for 5 minutes, and he's like, hey, we've got a few that need to get out. Women, children, babies. They ran out of food, or there was no water. Definitely no water, no drinkable water. He's like, yeah, these people want to get out. It's like, okay, for that to happen, I need that cable line to come down. He's like, okay, give me 5 minutes. Let me talk to these people. So he's talking, and the next thing I see is 5 or 6 bubbas walk up to this power pole with a ladder, and they put a rope on this cable line, and all 6 of these dudes are just yanking on it, and they pull it down, and they secure it, and they're like, come into land, you're good to land. So we landed, and unbeknownst to us at the time, like after we landed, there's a picture I sent you, but there's this big, it's probably a 3-foot tall rooster lawn decoration. And we're like, oh my gosh, that's kind of funny. We should name this place. This should be a named LZ. So we already tore this guy's cable up. Like, he's not going to be able to watch TV for the next week. This place needs a name. So on that first pickup, I think we got like 15 people out at that first one.
Wow.
And, like, we came back that same day. I think by the end of the day, my air crew alone pulled like 48 people out of that hauler.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
48 people, a bunch of kids, a couple dogs. And then there was 2 or 3 more aircraft that went in there and pulled people out. But about the second trip in there, it's like, hey, this is just like my 10-year-old mind still working. It's like, hey, I've got the perfect name for this place. We're going to name it, Big Cock LZ. And it just kind of stuck,
That is awesome. That is absolutely perfect.
So it was like every time we were calling in, it's like, hey, where you guys headed? It's like, hey, we got another pickup at Big Cock LZ. And they're like, all right, let us know. Let us know, how many people you get. All right, cool.
Everybody knows where it is. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you know it's a good name for that spot. Everybody knows now.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we did our roll up or whatever, and then the next morning, all the pilots got together for a brief, and I mean, we had all the warrant officers, and then like the head officer there was, I think it was the state aviation officer from West Virginia, the full bird colonel.
Wow.
He was there, and he's talking like, hey, where are you getting all these people from? I was like, oh, sir, we made an LZ. It's called LZ Big Cock, or Big Cock LZ. He's like, oh, I know where that's at. Like, I'll go there today. It's like, all right, sure. It got wild real quick, but I actually had a few patches made for it. I made some patches for my crew through Trident's Edge. He did a great job. I told him the story, and he made like the perfect patch for it. So I actually wear that on my helmet now. It's
that's fantastic.
Great story. You never know what you're going to get into with some of these things, but it was really, really fun.
I love the fact you made a patch out of it as well, and you can still wear it. And there's a story behind the patch.
Well, I love telling this story. Everyone's, why do you have a rooster on your helmet? It's like, oh, man, how much time do you have? Kind of thing. So,
Big Cock LZ, that's why.
Big Cock LZ. So to be more politically correct, we just named it BCLZ. And if you know, you know.
Nice of you.
So.
Well, now I know, and I'm all excited about it.
I'll send you a patch. How about that?
Yes. All right. We'll patch trade. I like that idea.
There we go.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Oh, it was great.
Funny. Does anything else stand out to you in that flood rescue, or should I bullet point to the next one? we're going to divert real quick to thank our sponsors.
Axnis. The Axnis PNG wireless ICS system delivers cutting-edge wireless ICS technology to any aircraft. As a fully integrated system or as a carry-on, carry-off mobile base station, the PNG wireless system is the right solution for any mission.
So one more out of Kentucky.
All right.
It was kind of funny. So when we working Big Hawk LT, we're working other grids that came through from the Emergency Operations Center. We got a call to a flooded out town, and I mean this entire town was up to the second floor. Like there's two old women sitting on a balcony. They had no place to go. The boats couldn't get to her because I think there was power lines down the water. So they're like, we need a hoist. It's like, okay. So we went and hovered over their house, dropped our medic down. He strapped them up, got them both in. And then he's like, hey, these ladies need their medicine. I got to go back down and grab it. He's like, okay, cool. So we're just chilling and he's down there. A couple of minutes go by. I was like, hey, did the medicine get up and walk away? He's like, no, give me a sec. It's like, okay. And we're getting to the point fuel's becoming kind of an issue. And the airport we were operating out of actually had ran out. So we had to go 20 miles outside of our way to get gas at that point. It's like, hey, I'm pushing my bingo fuel right now. He's like, okay, I'll be up there in just a sec. And 2 or 3 minutes later after that, he walks out with a pillowcase and our crew chief sent the hook down. And he comes up and he throws the pillowcase to the crew chief, and the crew chief's like, okay, what do you want me to do with this? He gets unhooked, closes the door, and then all I hear is, oh my God, oh shit. And the pillowcase gets thrown. And I'm like, okay, we can't scream like that, in the cockpit. What's going on? Like,
can you please clarify the oh shit?
Yeah, he's like, this pillowcase just started moving. It's like, what? And I look back, and out comes from this pillowcase, just out through the opening, is the ugliest looking dog I've ever seen in my entire life. And he runs up to his mom, it's just terrified. He's in this really loud helicopter. And the ladies were super happy that happened, and they got the dog out. But then we had to boot scoot on down to his Big Sandy Airport and get gas. We dropped the ladies off there with Lakota crew who were going back to the Hazard Airport, and then we continued mission after getting gas. But yeah, that was very interesting to see some dog medicine. It was very unexpected, that was a good one.
It's one of the things that I brief when I go teach people. Is there's 2 things in the helicopter you're not really allowed to say. And if you are going to say it, needs to be clarified as far as what it is. And it's, oh shit, no fuck. Follow that up with something. Oh shit, blank. Fill in the blank. Let everybody know.
Yeah, you cannot leave us on the cliffhanger for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh man. That goes both ways for the record, okay? As a crew member in the back, when I hear oh shit up front, can you clarify that oh shit, sir, please?
Yeah. I agree. I learned that lesson. For sure.
That is so funny. Oh, that's hilarious. I love it. Dude, thank you for sharing those stories, man. I appreciate that one. All right, dude, let's go to the next one, man. Next bullet point. You have your pilot in command, your PIC ride, which turned into something, as well as your PIC ride. What happened?
Oh my gosh. So yeah, this one, I got into my pilot command progression, and this was going to be one of my last 1 or 2 rides. So the day started, the ceilings and visibility were really crappy, and the scenario I was given a scenario it was just a training mission. It was hey, we're going to leave here go to a hospital, pick up blood, and then we're going to deliver that blood to a separate hospital. And it's like, oh, okay, that seems, easy enough. Like our aircraft cannot fly in the clouds because broken equipment, but they have to have this blood, by the end of the day. He's like, okay. He's like, so you tell me like what we need to do, and like what's our visibility and weather requirements. I was like, okay, well, we need to get the aircraft ready for mission. So like, let's go ahead and run it up, get it ready for a quick takeoff if we get a break in the weather. It's like, all right. So we did that. And like we burned a little gas, and I was like, I don't know that we need anymore, but I'm going to call for gas anyways. So I got him to top off the tanks, 100, 200 pounds from the run up. And then I was waiting on like the weather to clear. And we were sitting there waiting. And then we got enough to where we could complete the mission. We go down and start the APU. And we get a phone call from ops on the radio. It's like, hey, you guys shut down, come back up here real quick. And I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. Is this part of the scenario? And they're like, no.
Funny joke, guys.
It's just like, no, we need you to come up here right now. It's like, okay. So shut down. And I was talking to the instructor, but I was like, what do you got planned? I've never seen this before. Being able to work there, I get to see like kind of all the rides and how they go and stuff. He's like, hi, this is new to me, man. I don't know. I did not plan this. It's like, okay, this is getting fun. So the weather's still kind of crappy. It's like 903 still. Maybe it's going between 900-foot ceilings to 1,000-foot ceilings. Like it's kind of VFR, but not really. So we walk upstairs and like, hey, we got a mission. I was like, what? He's like, you're the perfect guys. I was like, okay, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, buddy.
So Ramsey Cascades Trail was two people. One person had fallen and they thought they had a broken leg. So okay, so they couldn't get him out, and it had been raining up there for like 3 days straight. So the ground was like super saturated. So their little crazy contraption they have for pulling people out was just like bogging down. Like it would have taken them 8 or 10 hours to get them out of there. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm looking at the map at where Ramsey Cascades is, and the only way to get there is to file IFR, get above the cloud layer, perform the rescue above the cloud layer, then file IFR again to shoot an approach into an airport that's right next to the hospital to get under the cloud layer and then go to the hospital. It's like, that sounds very complex. And by this time, it's like super late in the afternoon. We're almost in to that period where it's probably like an hour before sunset. So like, okay. So we get everything ready, readjust our flight plan, grab the necessary equipment that we need, and we get the approval to launch, and sunsets in like 30 minutes. So we file, get above the cloud layer, get over to the mountain. And where they were in the mountain, the cloud layer was probably a half mile away from the rescue spot. So we drop our medic down. They get the patients packaged up, and we're just kind of loitering, waiting. And it's taking a little bit. And that cloud layer is just creeping up the hill. It's like, we need to hurry this up, guys. And by this time, it's goggle dark. So my co-pilot puts his goggles on. I'm flying, and then we switch. And I put my goggles on, but it's not like quite dark enough yet to fly goggles, but it's not bright enough to see very well. So it's kind of like in that transition period. So we had to perform a hoist in that transition. It was super weird. Very like,
it's way too bright for goggles, but it's not quite like it's too dark to be able to see everything out there.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Very non-standard. So we perform the hoist. I'm doing my duties as a pilot in command, just trying to like make sure everybody's doing good and just like really controlling the mission. So we get the patient in, we get the other patient in, and we're ready to go. So to get out of there, I have to file with the approach controllers to get under the cloud layer. I didn't know whether the weather had deteriorated more while we were up there. So if the ceilings were a little lower than when we left, I didn't think to ask at that time. But anyways, I asked for an approach into this airport that would get us down to like 600 feet to break out. And part of that approach process is you have to, on that one, you have to get radar fixes, or you have to have DME and all this stuff. And you have to identify these certain fixes based off your distance from the fix. And it's a very complicated approach. Like if you're just doing it and training, it wouldn't be nearly as bad. But when you're on a live rescue, like everything's like up here, you're pegged out. So
you're maxed.
So
front meter is pegged.
Yeah. So I'm giving my guy like turns and stuff. I'm like, hey, once we hit this point, we're gonna turn this way, turn to the left 30 degrees. And I'm briefing this approach to him, and we're in and out of clouds at this point. And then we get clearance to fly the approach, and I'm like, oh crap, I don't have this fix in. Like we're gonna have to do this or this or this. Somehow we worked it out, and I had turned him one way or the other, and he's like, I have spatial disorientation. Like I'm leaning, I've messed up. You have the flight control. I'm like, oh God, I've really screwed this up. Like I've messed this whole ride up. But I got the controls, I shot the approach, and got us into the hospital. And we talked about it, and in the end, like everything worked out great. But like at that moment, like it could have gone really bad, or we would have had to go around and try again. But like good on him for speaking up. And I mean, I learned a lot of things I could do better. But for that pilot command check ride, I flew every single mode of flight you can in the Army for a Black Hawk, which is it rarely ever happens, but it does happen. And then, I mean, performing the whole rescue and working all that, like it was intense. And then we got on the ground and debriefed. So a lesson learned from that, like make it easy on yourself. Don't make things harder. There was a whole nother approach into that airport. It was like, it brought you down like 100 feet higher, but the cloud layer at that point wasn't really that bad. So shoot the RNAV all day. Don't make things harder on yourself than they need to be, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
But it was a great learning experience. I passed. And
yes,
here I am now.
Yes. I love it. All right.
So
you did a real rescue on your PIC check ride and passed. That's what I'm talking about, Aaron.
It was intense. It was definitely intense, but it definitely one I won't forget. And when I talk to all the newer pilots we get, I talk to them about it all the time. So definitely a lesson learned, and just an experience I had that they could probably use going forward. So,
oh my God, dude, I love it, man. Nice job. Hey, way to pass your check ride. It would have been kind of funny if he had come back and said, yeah, but if he had come back and said, yeah, I can't pass you because that wasn't part of the scenario, you got to do it again.
I mean, I would have done it, I would have done it, but.
Oh, Dan, I love this, man. I'm loving it. That's hilarious. Good job, dude. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, so ready? Next bullet point here. I'm going to keep it going because I'm digging this. All right, where's Valley Fire? What?
Yeah, so this isn't really it's not really a rescue, but it's definitely part of our mission set as the medevac out here, especially in the National Guard. Wildfires, they're very prevalent, especially out west, California. I think Wyoming had a really big one this year. But
do you guys deploy out to some of those?
We had a group deploy to Louisiana last year when their wildfires were pretty bad. It's all based off of so the National Guard, they have these EMAC requests, so emergency mutual aid contracts. So all 51 states and territories, their governors will talk to each other, and they'll say, "Hey, we got a really bad deal going on here. We could use some help. Any of you states, can you offer assistance?" And then the states will say, "Hey, we can give you, 3 aircraft and 4 crews, or we can give you 2 aircraft, 2 crews for this many days." And I think that the National Guard and the Pentagon will be like, "All right, so Vermont requested, some help, and Utah said they can give this many aircraft, this many days. Utah will send them there, and they'll fight the fires or whatever." So that's how it works.
Cool.
Just like here down south, like North Carolina, if they ask for help, Tennessee's like, "Hey, we can send this many." Kentucky, same way. We can have crews there in an hour, kind of thing. But yeah, we had 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, we had a fire in Wears Valley, which is right in our backyard. It's right at the foot of the Smoky Mountains. I actually have to drive that road to get to Gatlinburg and Sevierville and all that. That's one of the ways I go. But I believe it was a lightning strike that caused the fire, and we were in a really bad, like we hadn't had rain in a few weeks. It was very dry. The humidity was very low, and it was just a tinderbox up there. So we got the call to go ahead and start fighting, and that's what we did. So we're waiting on a fog layer to clear, or an approval from the Forest Service to go ahead and start. So everyone had ran up and got the aircraft prepared and all that, and it was a short hop to the actual fires, right over one ridge line. I was on one of the first 3 crews that departed. So it was me and my sister ship, and there was 2 dip sites where you get water from. One of them was out in the middle of in the middle of the valley, and the other one was kind of on top of a ridge right next to a church camp. And my crew elected to go to the one in the valley. We'll start fighting fires on that side. And the other crew said, "We'll fight the fires on the church camp side. That'll be our airspace, deconfliction zone." And there was 2 different zones, 2 different spotters for the fires. So anyways, we start getting our water, and we're coordinating with our ground guy. And there's for all federal wildfires, you usually get an air attack asset, which is just a fixed-wing plane. He'll sit up at like 4,000 feet, just coordinate drops and stuff. And he manages the helicopters in the area, all the aircraft in the area. So the air attack, as we were coming out of the dip site, he's trying to get a hold of our sister ship. And our radios aren't like the greatest, so I called him on an internal frequency. I was like, "Hey, air attack's trying to get a hold of you. You guys call him up." And no response. So we go shoot our approach into the drop site, and I called him again. I was like, "Hey, man, I don't know if you're hearing them, but like air attack's trying to get a hold of you guys." And nothing. So I went back to get water, and I get this text on my watch. My watch pinged at me, and it's just like this weird grid. And then
like a coordinate?
That's weird. Yeah.
Like literally like a lat long? Just a message of a lat long?
It was from a website. I cannot remember. It was from a website. It's like super precise to where you're at. And it was like this link, and I clicked it, and it was just like a grid, a lat long. I was like, "What? I don't need that. Like, what's going on?" And then over one of our internal frequencies, it was, "Hey, we had an aircraft go down," and like me and my co-pilot just kind of looked at each other like, "Oh shit, like that's got to be them." So we knew where their dip site was, and we called air tags like, hey, we're breaking station. We got to go check on these guys. And we hauled ass over there. And we saw them sitting in a field, and we saw 4 of them just like walking around. So we called it in, and we're like, hey, they're down safe. They're all walking around. Everybody seems to be fine. So we landed and ran over there and checked on them. And they had an engine failure while they were pulling water. Their number 2 engine just imploded. And
that's terrible.
So they cut their bucket, and like kind of they were feathering the flight controls just enough to get above the trees. And like there's zip lines, not power lines, but zip lines from this church camp. And they kind of got it down just enough to land safely on this soccer field. They hit a bunch of trees with their rotor blades. Like all the tip caps on the rotor blades were like gone. The stabilator in the back had a bunch of limb marks, and they got out, landed, and like one of my best friends, Captain Rodriguez, he was on there, and I like walked over, and you could tell he was like shaken up and kind of in shock, like what just happened. I just gave him the biggest hug, and I was like, I'm so glad you're okay. You need to call your wife like now.
Yeah.
I think, we made all 4 of them call their wives or significant others. And then like before, it was probably 10 minutes, there was already a press release out, like reports of Black Hawk down, So that's why we made them call their wives as soon as we did.
Honey, I'm okay. Let me just emphasize, I am okay. You're going to start getting news and this and that. I'm okay.
I think everybody on the ground was like, hey, let's all call our wives kind of thing. Because my wife, she's very, she likes watching stuff like that. It's like she'll get spun up real quick if she sees something like that on the news, and like she hadn't heard from me. So like she should. But yeah, we got them checked on. We got them back to the airfield. They had to do like this whole post-crash investigation for them, and like none of them were at fault. The engine just kind of blew up.
Dang,
but
that's
since they all,
crazy.
since they landed it safely and the aircraft can be used again, they all got a broken wing award for landing a mishap aircraft. And like, I mean, it was nothing short of amazing that they did what they did. And there's video of it somewhere from the church camp. But the church camp director actually came out there once everybody had landed, and he kind of got us all in a group, said a big prayer for us. It was a good moment in time. But yeah, definitely scary. But after the investigation was over, myself and one of my other test pilot buddies actually went out there. We replaced an engine. We replaced all 4 main rotor blades. And he and I got it out of there in one day. So after they had done all the maintenance on it, so that's a lot of work to do in one day. And after the investigation was complete, the maintenance guys that we've got are like second to none. Like these dudes are some of the hardest working guys that I know. I'm happy to be a part of the organization that they're in. They got this thing. All 4 rotor blades and engine replacement. They got it done in like 3 or 4 days, like in the field with a spider. Yeah. With a spider crane. Like these dudes were kicking some major ass, and they definitely, the only reason I look as good as I do, like in the maintenance world, is because of those guys. I think I can't talk about them enough. They're awesome.
That is amazing. There is something to be said about maintenance guys, and when they go out and can fix an aircraft in the field, like it's not home plate, it's not like you're in trees, you gotta do some crazy stuff, and next thing you know, you're like rolling chainsaws to drop areas so you can like do a vertical takeoff after you've changed an engine and rotor blades in the field. Oh yeah, by the way, there's no hanger with a crane to take the blades off. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, those dudes they don't get talked about enough in my opinion, but I don't know what I'd do without them. Like they're really freaking awesome.
That's cool. That is cool. So I got to highlight one more thing here, just because I got to give a little shout out to God. Okay, I don't care what people believe or not, right? They landed in a church camp. Are you kidding me? Like, and everybody walked away, and the aircraft was for the most part okay. Are you serious? Like, there's only one other person I've known that, like, well, they landed at a pastor's house, but like, what the? Come on, man.
Divine intervention, man. I don't know. It was nothing short of a miracle that those guys were able to do what they did. And kudos to all of them, both the pilots, the crew chiefs in the back. We train for that all the time, but until it actually happens, you never really know how it's going to turn out. And I think that's just a testament of the way that we do train. Our instructor pilots and our instructors in the back, like when shit gets hairy like that, like you kind of just go into, autopilot, and it's kind of like, I need to do this. And you're not really thinking about what you're doing while you're doing it, but it just second nature it becomes. And maybe some divine intervention for sure, but they did the damn thing, if you will.
Yeah. Man.
So
yeah. I'm giving the shout out to God right now. That's from me. Okay. Like,
amen.
Wow. At a church camp. Jeez, oh man.
Church camp.
Yeah. God said, hold my beer. Watch this. Oh, nice and easy.
That's right.
Oh. Man, that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that one. And you had said it earlier, like it's not totally like search and rescue related, but at the same time, what you guys are called out to do right now just is blowing my mind with everything. Because you could be called to that war zone tomorrow if something were to happen. At the same time, you're there to help those in need and put out the fires and everything in the surrounding area. That's incredible. You guys do a lot. That's cool.
We're definitely multifaceted for sure.
Yeah.
But and I think Bambi Buckets, I would say 90% of the air crew would say Bambi Buckets is probably their most fun mission. So it is a lot of fun.
Slinging water. Whoosh.
Slinging water. Well, just being that close to the water. We did a training exercise a few months ago out on the lake in Oak Ridge to an island, and the boaters are out and they're like, what the hell are these helicopters doing? Just getting all this water. So I had gone down to grab some water, and there's a boat just pulled up right next to me, probably 15 feet away from me, and just watched me. I'm like, you silly goose, get out of here. Somebody's going to get hurt. So I waved him off, and he kind of left. But just having the public's eye, seeing that, for them to know that their tax dollars are at work, I guess, is pretty cool. But
that is cool.
Yeah.
I like your statement right there, because you're close to the water. You're talking to a Coast Guard guy. I'm just gonna throw that out there, bro. 10 and 10 or 15 feet off the water and free fall. Yeah, I'm close to the water all the time.
Oh yeah, I can see why you like it. It's a lot of fun, a whole lot of fun. I don't know about swimming in it or anything like that, but I'll stay in there. I'll let you. All right. I'll let you do all the swimming.
That's cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to divert real quick to thank our sponsors. Attention all rescue professionals and tactical athletes. Ready Swimmer and the Real ResQ have teamed up to bring you the ultimate solution in tactical athlete training. Developed by military rescue professionals, our team boasts over 60 years of combined experience. Elevate your performance both physically and mentally with our individualized programming. Contact us at readyswimmer.com or through therealresq.com and unlock your full tactical athlete potential. The question is, are you ready? All right, let's go to the next bullet. So the next one is you got a letter for a job well done, which it's like this is the stuff that I love because this is it right here. And let me read this and then you kind of bring us to this. This is kind of cool. Dear CWS3 Backus, I read about your heroic actions to help rescue a hiker on 15 August. Your diligence as a pilot ensured the crew chief's timely actions and enabled safe hoisting of the flight paramedics to and from the aircraft. Following this, swift retrieval of the hiker and prompt medical care transport occurred through your seamless efforts. As Chief of the National Guard Bureau, I am proud to serve with professionals like you. Thank you for helping us fulfill our promise to America to be always ready, always there. Sincerely, Daniel Hokanson, General, U.S. Army. And then a little note, well done, dust off. That's awesome. What happened with that?
So, first of all, just want to make a point that the Chief's always watching. So,
yeah.
But August 15th, we got a call to one of our highest points. It is our highest point in East Tennessee, Klingman's Dome, for a hiker. He's having pretty big issues. He's like hypoglycemic, dehydrated. Like he was in bad shape. So, I mean, we got the aircraft prepare for mission and all that. Got the approval like super quick, and it was a daytime mission. In August, it's hot, and we were definitely going high, and we were heavy, so we had an extended fuel tank in the back. So I think like our max torque available at 6,600 feet was like 98%. And when we went up there to hover after spotting the guy, we were hovering at like 92. So like our power margin wasn't great in case something happened, like an engine failure or something. But luckily, being at the highest point in the state, there's lots of outs when you're up there. So if we happen to have an engine failure, we can go left or right. Trying to avoid known obstacles and stuff like that. But this dude, we found him. We got the medic down. The winds were pretty ridiculous up there, just with the way that the winds operate in the mountains. If you haven't been to Hats, I highly recommend it. But
okay, I might have to come up there and hang out with you there.
Oh my gosh, it's a lot of fun. But we found a good headwind, lowered our torque just a little bit to help us out, and we chose to just send the medic down and just kind of hover there because we were hovering pretty good, and it seemed like a quick turnaround for our medic. He got him on the rescue strop, sent the hook back down, brought the guy up single. He was a little bit bigger dude. Got him situated in the aircraft, and I think they started an IV on him like while we were en route to the hospital. Got the medic back up, and it's like a 15-minute turn to the hospital. Got him in there, put him on the stretcher, and got him in. And I think the whole mission took all but 45 minutes to complete. It was one of the faster ones, and the crew was great. But yeah, I had no idea that the chief of the National Guard, was like sending a letter to my house. That was nuts to me. It's like, how did you get my address? So cool. like,
they know everything.
Yeah, it was really cool. But the funny thing is, I went to the mailbox and opened the mail, and like I got the letter, and it's like from Chief National Guard Bureau. It's like, oh shit, what have I done? What did I do? I opened it up, and it's the letter, and he sent me a coin. It's not that's every day the highest ranking member of the National Guard sends you a letter to your house. I thought that was really cool to see. And
that's awesome.
He is watching everything, So yeah, that was nice.
That's pretty badass, man. Like I say it on here a lot. Like we don't do it for the the accolades. We don't do it for the awards. We do it because we love what we do. But when that stuff comes, it makes it. Oh man, there are people watching it, and they are happy with what you're doing. So
that's right.
I dig it.
That's right.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, man. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that one. We've got one more I can't get enough of this stuff, and you probably know that, but like I really can't. So I'm gonna hit one more, and which really kind of hits close to home and recent with everything else that's been going on. You guys responded to Hurricane Helene and helped out in multiple areas with that. So we've already heard from a bunch of people in Western North Carolina and their efforts. And there's a lot of, I want to say, question about like what military was doing and what agencies were there. Well, this is to let everybody know that you guys were there. You were helping. And you were not the only ones, because I've got other people coming on to talk about this too. So I'm excited to hear it. So Hurricane Helene, when did you guys get called in and what did you do?
So Friday, September 27th, we were chilling at the facility. It was one of those like kind of, it's almost the weekend Friday. It's like everybody's thinking about, hey, I might drop a leave slip for the rest of the day because it's raining all day. There's not much we can, do to fly. And everybody's just kind of chilling out, catching up on the last bit of work that needs to be done for the week. And I'm sitting in my office and I get a text message, like, hey, there's a hospital in Unicoi County that's starting to flood. And it's like, well, dang, that really stinks, not really knowing like the dire need of the aid that they needed. So I got on the computer and I did like a quick Google search and I was like, hey, this hospital has like a helipad, that could be good for us. Not really fully understanding like where the water was. But the hospital was like situated right next to the river. And I was like, what? That river starts to go, like climb, like it's probably going to get really bad for this place. So I run upstairs and we get to talking. And my boss, one of my boss, the ops officer, he's getting a phone call from a guy on the ground out there, one of the police officers, and he's frantic. The guy on the phone is just frantic. He's like, hey, how long till you guys can get here? And this is like at 11 o'clock and we're socked in Knoxville. Like, it's like 400 and a half at the field and it's raining. And he's like, we can't get out there. There might be a break at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, before we can even launch. And he's like, I really hope we can make it that long. And that kind of like put it in perspective for a lot of the people, like, oh shit, like this is real, like real bad. And so we all just like kind of went in that autopilot mode, like started to get to work. Pilots started processing their flight plans, making like first, second order, third, like different scenarios. Like if we need to leave immediately, this is a step that we can do. Like we can try this. And eventually we got to where we're going to wait for that break at like 12:30, 1 o'clock, just get enough to get out, and then run over there. And then like the mechanics heard the call, and like we had 3 aircraft ready to go in 20 minutes. The medics all their med equipment was loaded up. Like it was like ants, just like the ants got the call and then boom, it was done. It's like, so once the weather, it was very methodical. Everybody knew what to do. There was really no questions to be asked. Like, hey, what do you need to, everybody knew like just where to go, when to do it, how to do it. And it was like very efficient. So while we're waiting on the weather to break, we did our run-ups and our engine health checks, then shut down, got gas. The wind was like the big issue for us. That and the ceilings of biz, but I mean the winds were gusting, probably like 40 knots. We can't start or stop the rotor in winds more than 45. So I can't remember what the ATA said that day, but it was just kind of one of those, like, it's going to be one of those bumpy kind of days.
Yeah.
So after we got our run-ups and stuff done, we went upstairs and like did a quick brief of how exactly we were going to do what we needed to do. We had to load our radio with a certain frequency and a certain tone that could talk to the police channels. And so we learned how to do all that, kind of revisited that. And then it was like, hey, the weather is okay-ish. Like, it's not DFR, but we can kind of request a special clearance. They'll probably give it to us to get out. So myself and Captain Rodriguez, we were paired together. And then we had our sister ship. They went out with us, and we all cranked up at the same time. They requested the special clearance out and got it just fine and started zooming over there. We did the same thing. And our controllers in Knoxville, they understand, like, if we use certain words, and we don't, if we say, hey, we've got an urgent medevac, but like the field's not VFR, they'll kind of help us in that direction if we forget to say, hey, I want a special VFR clearance, which I forgot to say that because I thought the field had gone VFR, or I just wasn't thinking about it. But I say, hey, urgent medevac, I need Encore's 090 immediately. And they're like, hey, the field's not VFR, but can you ask for like a special clearance to get out of here? I was like, hey, special VFR clearance, urgent medevac. And they punched me out of there. So we had like this wall of rain coming. I was like, we need to go, before this wall hits us. And it was about halfway across the airfield before we got out of there, and we beat it out. So then we're en route. It's like 100 miles from Knoxville to the LZ or the grid that we got. And we're just pulling the guts out of this helicopter, like 99% torque the whole way. And we are just getting our cookies tossed the entire way, just from the turbulence and the gusts of wind. So to get to Unicoi County, you have to go over a mountain range, like 2 or 3 ridges in the mountains. And as soon as you hit those mountains, it was just like, I've told a lot of people this, like, when we landed that night, just from the turbulence, it getting shook around as much as we did, like, I felt like I got beat up, like I was sore the next day, like in spots in my body I'm not usually sore. And it's just like really weird. I'm like, why am I so sore? And when I talked to Brandon the next day, I was like, are you sore? And he's like, yeah, a little bit. And it's just like, why? It's the turbulence. We were talking about that. So then we caught up with the first aircraft that took off, and they went one way over the mountain ridge. We went another way. And we actually ended up beating them there. So we had this whole plan in place because we knew there was people. They tried to extricate in one of those little rubber boats, but the water was going so fast that it was more dangerous to try to get them out on the boat than it was to just kind of chill at the hospital at that point. So we crested the ridge, and we saw the hospital and we saw the water, and like I saw the water running, and I kid you not, I've never seen that amount of water moving that fast in my entire life, ever. It like, if you've ever seen like the Olympic whitewater rafting trials, just take that and multiply it by like 10, and then add like Niagara Falls volume of water. Like, it was absolutely mind blowing. So yeah, we crested the ridge. and we saw the hospital, and like we made our approach to the hospital. There was two civilian birds there. One was like Virginia State Police, and the other was a Hems bird out of Highlands, Virginia, I believe.
Nice.
They were trying to get people on, as many people on their bird as they could, but I mean, them just being so small, it was like onesie twosie, I think. I'm not sure, but we had to make a deconfliction measure with them. So I talked to them on helicopter comm and kind of like deconflicted with them as far as how many aircraft are coming in, which way we're going, where are we going, and we got that all sorted out. But like when we got near the hospital, I feel like for me, the whole valley just kind of took a big deep breath, just like, oh, thank God, like more help's here.
Yeah, we've got a big helicopter. We can move a lot of people. Let's go.
Yeah, and then there was one right behind us, So for our aircraft to land on that roof, it's probably not the safest to go full down collective, and land all the way. So for us to go in there, I actually never landed on the roof. I was doing all the hoist stops, but our sister ship landed, and they had to pull, like they're basically hovering on the roof, because if they would have gone full down, that roof would have just gone. But I mean, they were loading people. I think they got 10 or 11 in on their first round, and then shot them to the high school, and then came back around and got some more. But we dropped our medic off on the roof. I was talking to someone on the radio en route. I told him to like kind of get groups of 10 and we'll go off there. And she's like, hey, we've got all these people in this boat. We'll need a hoist. I was like, okay, we got that. So we dropped our medic off, and on the backside of this hospital, there was, I want to say 4 people in that little dinghy. And then the hospital was kind of like a wave block for how fast the water was moving. They had it tied up, and we sent our mech down on the roof, and he got like kind of in control of the situation as far as like what he needed to do. We're just chilling there, hovering, and the wind. I mean, the wind's just like we're going up and down, and he finds the first person. Like we had this really cool plan. Like, hey, we're just gonna get all 4 of these people in one hoist, and we'll take them all out at one time. We get the first patient in. Yeah, well, in one iteration, so 4 different hoists. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so, you just about made my heart stop right there, bro. I'm like, that shit's only made for like 600 pounds, man. Yeah. Like, uh-oh.
So we're just going to do like one iteration, but 4 separate hoists. That was our plan, and a good plan is just that. It's a good plan. So we get the first patient up, and our medic. I turn around to look, and my medic's like, "Go! You have to go now." And I could see why the lady did not look good at all. I mean, she'd been sitting in the water on a boat for God knows how long. And I think they put like the most urgent people in that boat to try to get them to that next higher level of care as soon as possible, which in hindsight, that makes a lot of sense. So we got her to the hospital, dropped her off, and then, I mean, we're right back at it. And it's like, all right, now we can go with our plan, get the rest of the people, just stay here, do all the hoists. And then we got the next person. It was like, we got to get this person out of here. Like, they got to go now. It's like, all right. So we went back to the hospital and just kept doing that round robin. Meanwhile, like our sister ship's still pulling people off one side of this roof. I mean, we're operating like super tight and close to each other. You think of a hospital roof for a county, it's not all that big. So you've got, I think we had 6 aircraft out there at one time, or 5, 5. Yeah, so we had 3 Blackhawks out there, and then you had the 2 civilian birds as well. Well, not civilian, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Not dust off. Not you guys.
Not us guys. Yes. So we finished all the hoist stops, and then we were pretty low on fuel, so we went out to Tri-Cities, grabbed gas, and then we were starting to get calls. Like, hey, my brother was here, he's not answering his phone. Can you go check out this grid? Or there's reports of people on a silo in the middle of the water. Can you go check this out? And so it was like search and rescue ops for the rest of the day. And then they recalled us back, and we had one more aircraft go out that night and do a few rescues. But like, I think in the moment, the winds were whipping. They're on, it was probably 40, 45. There's a video of us doing the hoist, and our stabilator is like programming up and down, and that thing programs based off of airspeed. So at 40 knots, that thing's supposed to start moving. And just with the wind gusts and everything, it was definitely a wild day. One I will not forget. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was Friday. So I had timed out Friday.
That was Friday. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Now,
the next
you
day we had
the same thing we do, like 6 hours of flight time, and then
it's
flight time?
6 hours of goggles, 7 hours mixed, and then 8 hours day night.
Got it.
Saturday we had 3 crews go out, just deliver supplies, continue that search and rescue effort. Sunday, same thing, supplies, search and rescue effort. And we did that for 2.5 weeks, probably. And we were mainly in East Tennessee. Like I said, that state line is really close. So we would offer assistance in North Carolina when they needed it. But Tennessee was kind of like our base of operations, if you will.
Yeah. So. Holy smoke, man. That is awesome.
I know.
I can't believe you guys evacuated an entire hospital. That's amazing. Well done.
60 people. There were 60 people on that roof. Yeah.
Wow.
And shout out to like all the first responders and EMS guys there, the nurses, everybody just like keeping each other calm. They did a really good job with managing that situation. I can't imagine what it was like to be up there. I don't really want to.
Yeah.
They did a fantastic job.
Dang, man. Oh, Dan, that is awesome. Well done. Yeah, like you, all the crews involved. Like we've had a lot of people come on here talking about Hurricane Helene and the rescue efforts, and I've heard very little about Eastern Tennessee. We've heard a lot about Western North Carolina. So thank you for bringing a little light to that. It's good stuff,
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I mean, a lot of Eastern Tennessee, like Unicoi County, Carter County, Washington County. Like day one, you had bridges, roads. I mean, I-40 runs through East Tennessee into Western North Carolina. Like that was decimated. I-26 gone. Yeah. And a lot of these people were stuck, for lack of a better word, they were stuck where they were, with no power, nothing for an extended period of time. Like they couldn't get out even if they wanted to. There was hospital. I delivered like 6,000 pounds of water to a hospital that had no clean drinking water,
Yeah. Wow. The great part about the 860, man. Load it up.
That's right. Load her down.
I love that aircraft.
So that's cool. A great airframe.
Man, good on you guys. Thank you for helping out with that. I mean, my own personal thank you. That's incredible. So it's actually kind of how you and I got connected, because you guys had some cool stuff on Instagram. I was like, oh yeah, what are you guys doing out there? So,
yeah. Oh yeah.
It was great. So I'm glad we connected. So
yeah, man, me too.
But this is awesome. Well, man, I've had you on for a long time, bro. Yeah, like I've enjoyed every one of these stories. This has been incredible for me. But I'll tell you what, unless you got anything else, I'm happy to kind of close this out a little bit. So
yeah, man, I don't. I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate you sharing the stories, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Before I let you go, I just another thing I like to ask all the guests, like kind of last thing, and that's advice you would pass on to everybody out there. So you've had an incredible career right now. You've done some amazing rescues, just a lot, like recently the Hurricane Helene and all the rescue efforts there. But what advice would you pass on to everybody?
I think the biggest thing, I've lost in the past 5 years quite a few friends in the aviation community, instructors. My best friend from flight school, 2 great guys from Nashville. I think the biggest thing I would say is don't be afraid to tell your friends that you love them. Don't ever miss that opportunity, because you never know if that might be the last time. Tell the boys you love them, and boys and girls you love them, and that also, don't be afraid to take a knee. That's another big one. There's plenty of resources out there to help you if you're having a hard time. Don't be afraid to take that knee, because like you and me, I would rather listen to your stories than have to read about them, in the paper or in a bio at your funeral. Take that knee, reset, recharge, recage, and that's really the 2 big things I would say.
Well, I like that. Dan, thank you so much for coming on and joining us, sharing the stories that you've been through. This has been absolutely incredible for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yep. Thank you, man. I appreciate what you do. Keep up the hard work, and I look forward to hearing some more Real ResQ stuff.
Awesome. I'll take that as a direct order, sir. And actually, you know what? When I get back out east, maybe I can. I'll try to bounce out to Kentucky. Maybe we can go grab a beer. Or sorry,
Let's
Tennessee.
do it.
Tennessee. Come
Let's
to
do
Tennessee.
it.
Get a beer there,
right.
and maybe we'll cross
Let's
the border
do it,
and get
man.
a beer over there too. We'll do both.
Hey, I think the Kentucky Colonels get like free beers or something, or whiskey or bourbon or something. So hey, I'll use that card.
That's awesome. I'm a colonel. I'm with the
colonel.
Oh, I love it. Man, I appreciate you, man. You fly safe. Take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon. All right?
You do the same, man. See ya.
Yes, sir. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Go. Now, it's time for me to pull chocks and take off. But before I go, I'm always looking for the memorable rescues that people have done. If you have one that you're willing to share, or know somebody who has a story, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to highlight it here at the Real ResQ. For everybody that is standing by for that SAR alarm, remember, those in distress are praying for a miracle. They are going to get you. So until next time, fly safe and swim hard. Thank you for joining me today here at the Real ResQ Podcast, powered by Vertical Helicast. We'd also like to say thank you to our sponsors for this episode. Attention all rescue professionals and tactical athletes. Ready Swimmer and the Real ResQ have teamed up to bring you the ultimate solution in tactical athlete training. Developed by military rescue professionals, our team boasts over 60 years of combined experience. Elevate your performance both physically and mentally with our individualized programming. Contact us at readyswimmer.com or through therealresq.com and unlock your full tactical athlete potential. The question is, are you ready?
Axnis, the Axnis PNG wireless ICS system, delivers cutting-edge wireless ICS technology to any aircraft as a fully integrated system or as a carry-on, carry-off mobile base station. the PNG wireless system is the right solution for any mission.
And
Switlick. No mission is the same. Why should your suit be? Introducing a new custom dry suit experience. Choose your fabric, colors, neck and wrist seals, zippers, pockets, collars, and so much more. Intelligent measuring prompts ensure the most tailored fit. Brought to you by Switlick Survival Products. For more information, visit us at www.switlick.com.
Dan, hey, quick question for you. You got any funny stories that happened during training?
So this is on our way back from Hurricane Florence. I was with a pretty senior crew. I was pretty junior myself. So we had like our most senior flight paramedic on board, and we're flying en route back to Knoxville from North Carolina. And I'm on the controls, and he just says, "Emergency, we need to land now." And I'm like, so I dumped the collective, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? He said, code brown, code brown. I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? He's like, land this helicopter. So I land, and as before the doors even open, he's out with his pants off, just taking a dump in the middle of this field. And like I said earlier, it's like one of those things, like you have to be very specific with what you say, like emergencies, it's like, so I'm freaking out the whole time. And then when I realized what was going on, it was it kind of lightened the mood. But yeah, that was a pretty funny moment.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I'm so happy you shared that. That's so funny. Oh, dude, I'll catch you later. Thank you so much for that one.
All right, man, take care.
See you, dude.